The law of one. All is one. All that exists is a single life moving through infinite forms. The universe is not made of separate parts, but of different expressions of one essence. The name changes across cultures: spirit, source, one, void, God. Yet the principle remains the same. There is only one being, observing itself, experiencing itself, and transforming into all that is. 1. The underlying unity of all things. Reality is a continuous field. Nothing stands alone. The atom that composes the human body is the same that vibrates within a distant star. Separation is only a perception created by the sensory mind to organize experience. When this is understood, a silent recognition arises. All life is one life. The air we breathe has passed through trees, oceans, animals, and clouds. The same vital breath animates all. The entire cosmos is a living organism breathing together. 2. The world as an ocean of consciousness. Everything we see is a wave in the same ocean of energy. Each being, thought, or event is a temporary form of this cosmic tide. The waves appear distinct but never separate from the water. When one wave ends, the ocean loses nothing, it only changes shape. So it is with lives and worlds, transient expressions of an eternal reality. Death, in this light, is simply the dissolution of a wave back into the depth that has always been the sea itself. 3. The illusion of separation and the return to integration. The feeling of I and other is born from forgetting unity. When consciousness becomes overly identified with form, body, name, story, it loses the memory of the whole and begins to live in fear and the desire for control. From this illusion arise conflict, competition, and suffering. The return to integration does not require abandoning the world, but remembering that every gesture toward another is a gesture toward the self. Compassion at this level is not a virtue, it is clarity. No one can harm another without harming the whole, of which they are also a part. 4. The one manifesting as the many. Unity does not erase diversity, it expresses itself through it. White light contains all colors, and spirit contains all forms. Each being is a lens through which the whole contemplates itself. Multiplicity is the way unity chose to experience itself. The flower, the stone, the bird, and the human being are notes in the same symphony. When consciousness realizes this, a sacred respect for all forms arises, for within each dwells the same divine principle. 5. Living the awareness of the one. To live the law of one is to act, think, and feel as part of the universal organism. It is to perceive that everything done reverberates throughout the entire field. It is to cultivate the inner silence where this unity naturally reveals itself. No belief is needed, only deep observation. Those who see clearly perceive that each leaf, each gaze, and each moment is the whole itself in expression. Duality dissolves, and the self recognizes itself in all things. All is the same being playing at being many. One who understands this truth does not seek to dominate the world, but to harmonize with it, for they know that the world is themselves in another form. Thus the one remembers itself, and the universe breathes in peace. The law of consciousness. Reality is shaped by consciousness. Consciousness is the invisible fabric from which the universe is woven. Before matter, before form, before time itself, there is perception. Everything that manifests in the outer world is a direct reflection of the inner state of the one who observes it. The universe is not a stage separate from the mind. It is a living mirror, adjusting itself according to the vibration, attention, and understanding of the observer. Reality, therefore, is not fixed. It is a continuous creation of the consciousness that perceives it. 1. Consciousness as the foundation of all things. Matter is not the starting point, it is the result. Every visible form begins first as an invisible impulse within mind and spirit. Thoughts, emotions, and intentions are vibrations that shake the field of reality. When consciousness changes, the world changes with it, for the observer and the observed are two sides of the same act of perception. The universe is malleable and responds to consciousness as a lake responds to a stone cast upon its surface. To understand this is to realize that nothing happens out there without something moving in here. The cause is always the state of being. 2. Reality as the inner mirror. The world reflects the content of consciousness. Every experience, encounter, or challenge is a symbolic mirror of what vibrates within. Those who live in fear encounter threats. Those who live in gratitude encounter miracles. This is not superstition, but vibrational correspondence. Like attracts like. The universe returns what we emit, not as punishment, but as learning. When one changes how one thinks and feels, one alters the frequency of one's own field, and the mirror of life begins to reflect new forms. Life is a dialogue between the self and the cosmos. 3. The role of attention and intention. Attention is the creative instrument of consciousness. Everything that is observed intensely gains power. Everything ignored fades away. That is why focus is sacred. What we hold in mind, with emotion, belief, and persistence, begins to condense into material form. Intention is the direction we give to energy. When it is clear and pure, the universe aligns with it. When it is scattered, reality fragments and becomes chaotic. Consciousness creates most powerfully when it is centered, silent, and awake. 4. Expansion of consciousness and transformation of the world. Consciousness expands as it includes more aspects of reality, more empathy, more understanding, more unity. The higher the level of consciousness, the more coherent and harmonious the experience becomes. Reality adjusts to the dominant vibration. A being who vibrates in love perceives unity where once there was conflict. A being who vibrates in fear perceives division and threat everywhere. The outer world is the stage upon which consciousness performs its own play. To expand consciousness is to rewrite the script. Nothing truly changes until the observer does. 5. Living the law of consciousness. To live according to the law of consciousness is to recognize the creative power of one's own being. It is to stop reacting to the world and begin co-creating with it. It is to understand that every thought is a seed planted in the infinite field, and every emotion is the water that makes that seed bloom. When one awakens, one perceives that all that exists is consciousness interacting with itself, a single divine mind dreaming through countless forms. Nothing is outside, nothing is against. Life does not happen to us, but through us. Reality is a mirror of consciousness. The observer creates the universe they perceive, and the universe in turn awakens the observer to perceive more. When this truth is deeply understood, fear dissolves, duality fades, and the entire world is revealed as the perfect reflection of the expanding spirit itself. The law of correspondence, as above, so below. Everything in the universe follows a single pattern. Reality is organized in layers, spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical, yet all these dimensions are reflections of the same essence vibrating at different levels of density. Nothing happens in one plane that does not echo in the others. The invisible creates the visible. The inner projects the outer. The small mirrors the great. Thus, to understand the whole, one must observe the detail, and to transform the outer world, one must first bring harmony within. 1. The unity between the planes of existence. Life manifests through interconnected planes. The spiritual inspires the mental shapes the emotional, and the emotional condenses into the physical. Each plane is a different expression of the same primordial energy. What we call the material world is merely the visible surface of a vast invisible reality, like the tip of an iceberg sustained by deeper unseen layers. Nothing stands alone. When one plane falls out of balance, the others resonate with it. Every act of healing, creation, or imbalance arises from this web of correspondence. 2. The mirror between the inner and outer worlds. The outer world is a direct reflection of the inner world. What the mind believes and the heart feels manifests in the environment. Circumstances are neither punishments nor accidents, but mirrors. If there is chaos within, the world appears chaotic. If there is clarity and peace, life flows in harmony. Everything around us is a symbol projected by consciousness, a secret language through which the universe speaks to us. To change reality, one must not force the outer, but align the inner until the reflection shifts naturally. The universe is a cosmic mirror, faithful and silent, always returning the image of what vibrates within us. 3. The principle of the macrocosm and microcosm. As above, so below. As below, so above. This ancient Hermetic maxim reveals that the pattern of the whole is contained in every part. The atom mirrors the structure of the galaxy. The human heart beats to the same rhythm as the universe. The laws that govern spirit also govern matter. Nothing exists in isolation. The small contains the great, and the great is reflected in the small. Thus, to study the human being is to study the cosmos in miniature. To comprehend the cosmos is to understand the soul in its vastness. 4. The symbolic language of the universe. The law of correspondence is the key that deciphers the symbols of life. Everything that happens has a hidden meaning, an echo on another plane. A material conflict may reflect a mental imbalance. An illness may reveal a spiritual blockage. Nothing is random. Life speaks in metaphors, through people, coincidences, dreams, and events, and the wise learn to listen to that silent language. By reading the symbols, consciousness awakens and begins to act in alignment with the whole. 5. Living the law of correspondence. To live according to this law is to recognize that every gesture, thought, and emotion reverberates through all levels of being. It is to understand that the universe is not outside us, but within, reflected in every cell, every decision, every breath. Everything that happens is a dialogue between heaven and earth, between spirit and matter. To be aware of this correspondence is to live with reverence, to adjust the inner world, knowing the outer will follow in the same rhythm. When the being finds harmony within, the world responds. Chaos becomes order, chance becomes purpose, and duality becomes balance. Thus, what is above and what is below merge once again into a single flow, the eternal dance between the invisible and the visible, between the Creator and His own creation.